less troublesome done. You are so comfortable at the top. Right now, things are not so. You're very uncomfortable where you are. Your last race points finish was P6 and P7 respectively. That is Max and Checo, yeah? P6, P7 at Monza?
P6, P8.
P6, P8.
Yeah.
That's even worse. How many points are those? I'm guessing 10.
12.
You sure?
Yeah.
You had the fastest lap?
Nope.
Okay. So, how does it feel to be back at the midfield?
Well, it's been a while. And I love the company. It was lonely at the top.
Yeah.
Did you go through your morning, the phases of mourning?
Denial, acceptance, you know, the whole line.
Where are you in that process of
In that process?
Yeah.
I think Monza was the worst that I've been.
Like, are you still in denial or you
No,
are?
I'm not in denial.
You're in acceptance stage.
Actually, since Zandvoort,
Yeah.
I knew things are not looking good, my friend. Yeah. Of course, I personally I underestimated the extent of what could be going on. Because remember, like a few episodes back, I was saying that yeah, it's a little bit tricky, but I think it can be sorted out with maybe Red Bull able to set up that car and have it operating in a really good window. And on this one side, we had Max doing his best, pushing that car, making sure that he's in the podiums. Yeah. And on this other side, we have Checo, who's barely making it out of Q2.
Yeah.
So for me, I couldn't really say that car is shitty. No. But Zandvoort, yeah, and Monza, to me that was just a confirmation that car, it's no longer even just set up. There's just something that has gone left with that car.
Terribly wrong.
Now, I have a question. Before we got to shooting, we were talking about this, making banter, making jokes, and all that, and everything in between. We were talking about how Checo was right all along, because we do know last year Checo was P2 in the Constructors' Championship, and this year
Between the drivers.
Oh, the Drivers' Championship, sorry. And this year Checo was somehow left behind. And guys were talking about his performance, and everybody was on his case. But Checo was always adamant he is not the problem. The car is the problem. Now, before coming here, I had done my research, and I had also discovered Adrian knew he wasn't comfortable in the direction Red Bull took with the RB20 specifically. Now, do you think the car is finally catching up to Max's performance?
Well,
to be specific, the bad car.
We can't look at it from we can't look at it. I feel like I'm being grilled. We can't look at it as it's just the car. We have to put things into context.
Tell the guys.
Other people, the other teams or the other cars that are now competing at the top, they have made that leap forward. Okay? Remember, starting the year, the RB20 was clearly the fastest car on the grid.
Arguably.
But Miami, not arguably, they won races. But come Miami, McLaren introduced this significant update. And remember, as in the first few episodes of the year, I was asking, where the hell is McLaren? As in, like last year, they were finishing on a high. And last year, we could actually say that if McLaren continue this trajectory, then they'll start 2024 with the best car. But the RB20 was the best car starting 2020, as in starting this year.
Let me interject you.
But after...
the reason I'm saying arguably is because now with hindsight, in retrospect, now looking back, we could argue Max Verstappen was the one grinding out results with that car.
No. Checo was closer to Max. Checo was on the podium.
Checo had a P2 and a P2. Yeah, he had a few P2s. Okay. Yeah, I think McLaren actually woke up at Miami.
Yeah.
Because we had an episode whereby we were talking about McLaren. It was just the previous... The last half of last year that they were looking... we did have an episode like that. Yeah, so, you're right.
So McLaren bought a significant update at Miami, and now they just made a leap forward. And if you actually look at McLaren's hit rate since last year, it's been bonkers. Remember last year they brought a third of the updates at Austria. Norris was already quick. Piastri got it, I think, at the next race. Was it Silverstone or something? Piastri was also already quick.
Yeah.
And also this year, if you look at...
And we had been pre-warned. Last year we had been pre-warned by... Was it Hakkinen?
Yeah.
Hakkinen had talked about it and he was like, hey.
And also this year, if you look at, as in the updates that they're bringing, they're actually moving them forward. Apart from, I think, there's one where, what's it, Zandvoort, where they had to revert back to, But basically what I'm saying is we can't look at the RB20 or Red Bull's performance in isolation. We have to take into context that other teams have actually made that jump forward.
Yes. Yeah.
I was on a Twitter community the other day scrolling, just digging the places where people don't like looking. And somebody talked about the McLaren upgrades, and they were talking about how the upgrades include AI driver assistance because there is in no way these upgrades are making the cars that fast. But hey, I digress.
Remember McLaren, I think the first year they finished, I think was almost the bottom in the constructors. So you
of this new era of cars.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 22 and 23, they had a lot of time to, as in wind tunnel testing time and CFD. Those are the benefits that they are reaping now.
Context: the higher you finish, the low wind tunnel time you have.
The less development time.
Developmental time you have.
Just to even out the field.
Do you think? Yeah, it's for evening out the field. But do you think it's a fair thing?
Yes, it's a fair thing.
Okay.
By the way, that is also that reason you have given about the amount of time in the wind tunnel being reduced for the person who finished. Some people are saying it's also one of the reasons it's affecting Red Bull, but still rumors.
It definitely is.
Okay, now away from the rumors kiasi, because tumekuwa na tu rumors kiasi. Can we really pinpoint on why or where Red Bull are getting it wrong? Because from when the year began, because this year was an unconventional year in terms of news. We got the news at the beginning of the season before any races happen, because we normally get Formula 1 news at the summer break. That's when everything starts cooking. But this year, everything seems to happen from the top, from the whole Hamilton situation. But Red Bull specifically were on the spot for something different. We had the whole Christian Horner situation. And I don't mean to bring it back. But do you think starting the year the way they started, the way they began the year, took focus away from developing the car properly or in the right direction, that it has actually caused some issues? Because we've had Max Verstappen talking about how in this previous race, he was like, look, I'm racing and I need some data, and I'm asking these guys a question, and guys are like, oh, by the way, you have extra power to challenge or something like this and something like that, or you can revert back to the previous setting or something like this and something like that. And Max was like, you can't afford to switch off at this rate or at this level of competition or at this level or the level they're operating at. You can't afford to switch off, because he is trying to move heaven and earth, I could say that, trying to extract performance out of that car.
That's true.
Do we have anything specifically that we can pinpoint and say, this is where Red Bull's problem is?
Even them, they don't know.
Well, they gave a hint as to what could be going on. I can't remember it was which race, but this was months before even the summer break. I think it was Barcelona, if my memory serves me right. Remember before, I think it was Barcelona, Marco was already saying this update that it's coming. Because I remember him saying, we are going to respond to the McLaren jump in performance. And this package that we're bringing, we are going to take the fight to them. Or we are going to respond. Then that weekend, yes, Max won, but he had to struggle to get that win. And I don't know if it was Marco or who mentioned, but I remember simulation correlation being thrown as maybe as a reason why Red Bull probably is not very confident in this package that they brought. So the correlation bit is when you are making or when you're planning an update or a package to bring, you already know what problem needs to be solved, what strength you need to enhance. Okay, so after you've designed this, you take it to, you either do CFD, which is like a simulation digitally, see how the car is going to perform if you bring this upgrade. If that passes it, okay, now you can do like a wind tunnel to actually substantiate that. Okay, what you're seeing on CFD and what you're seeing on the wind tunnel correlates. So that will give you a high degree of confidence that if you actually take this package and slap it on the actual track, you're actually going to see that jump in performance. So that correlation between CFD, the simulation wind tunnel and the car, it's not correlating. And this is what also Mercedes were going through since 2022. As in, they're coming with a package and they're wondering, why is our car slower? Why are we introducing this package and drivers are complaining like, hey, there's a shift in balance, or we are not confident in this car package and whatever. And this, I believe this is the limbo that Red Bull is in. Okay? Because it's quite clear that after Monza, the engineers are saying one thing and Max and Checo have been saying the other thing. Because just like you pointed out, Checo has been saying, yo, this car, there's something.
I'm not the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not the problem.
Yeah. something is up with this car. Yeah. And now just at Monza, Max has actually publicly said that, you know what?
I think he said before Monza, he was like, I think he said it before Monza, and he was like, I can't keep performing at this level for much longer. He had already given hints of him struggling with that car.
I'm not talking about hints of struggling. I'm talking about saying this car is not working as expected.
Yeah.
And you guys are saying it's working, but this car is not working.
But hear me out. My whole point is the fact that he was saying that means he wasn't comfortable with the car from the beginning. The moment he started saying things like, look, I'm really trying my best to extract performance from this car. I'm not really comfortable with this car. Because I think this was the first time in a while, this year specifically, this was the first time in a while we actually had Max Verstappen go off on radio about performance or about setups of the car. We hadn't had...
No, he said that before. What he hasn't said is, you guys are saying this thing is working, and this thing is clearly not working. As in throwing the engineers under the bus, if I can put it that way.
Okay, what about you? What do you think Red Bull's problems are?
Well,
give us your POV.
There are many things that have been thrown around, and there's one that being outdeveloped, because when I checked for the times of Max pole in Austria last year and this year is faster, but still other people are even faster than him. So there's that outdevelopment. The thing about CFD and everything. Now there's something I didn't want to say this, but I have to say it, and because I always say it when it happens to other teams. This is what I usually say, that if you see a team that is performing well and somehow in the middle of the season they fall off, some they must have been caught doing something, and that thing was sorted behind closed doors. I don't want to believe it, but hey, I can't deny the possibility.
If it looks like a duck, how does that saying go? If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck.
And
in this case, it's not a duck.
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck.
I'm talking about specifically is that, I don't know, you know that there were rumors, but we don't know which team. I'm just trying to join the dots.
Yeah.
They had this gadget that...
You're playing Sherlock. Okay, play Sherlock.
When you're pressing the brake pad, when you press the brake pedal, pressure is applied to the brake pads. Now, depending on which, like you're turning left or right, there's like a gadget, like a gyroscope, like you can lean left or right, which makes the inner tires grip more than the outer tires, enabling turning. And somebody in some forum said that is that thing that went wrong in Australia, such that Max had problems with the rear brakes.
Okay.
If you remember. Still joining.
Did that person also mention the Ferrari brake problems in the first 2 races of the year? Please join those dots as well.
Oh, so Ferrari had brake problems?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
I would love to see that guy's room. I bet he has a whiteboard with strings and pins on his wall with pictures and photos. Playing Sherlock.
But me, to finish, this is what I would say, and I'm always against these rules. This is what I always say. Can you let engineers do what they do? Just regulate the fuel and maintain. Just say you can't use more than this fuel. Cost cap. Don't use this more than this amount of money, and use the same tires. After that, just make the fastest thing that can go around the track.
I still.
You're killing innovation. That is killing innovation.
It's not really killing innovation. I think just having the optimum window open, just the right balance of restrictions and the right allowance of innovation. I think that's That's the best case for Formula. Because if you let people think outside of the box, you'll see some crazy things out here.
But that's what we want to see. That
McLaren will pull up with a third brake, with a third
Formula
pedal
One.
again.
Back in the day,
Formula One is like a big science congress.
You remember, that's why it's actually called Formula.
Yeah.
That's why the whole thing is called Formula. It's a formula. They give you a formula and the guy who comes up with the best answer here wins it. And back in the day, there was a guy, I remember these guys who were coming with weird innovations like in the 80s and the 90s. Guys were coming with 6 wheels.
Williams. There's a time Williams active suspension, as in traction control. Williams were a menace, man.
But that is back when Adrian Newey was still there.
Look at it this way. So long as you have the cost cap, and so long as you can't use more than 100 kgs.
I think it will also be unfair to the teams with less money and things like that.
Yeah.
But that's why you have the cost cap.
Bruh, even without the cost cap, we have a team like Williams which is still struggling to.
You
As
know,
in, they had to fire someone.
Guys like Ferrari.
They had to fire someone.
Now,
They got another one.
Speaking of personnel.
But the new guy here is paying like 500. Like what?
He's paying every race. He's paying Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they had to fire someone so that they can get
More
just
money.
for 9 days.
It's a shark tank in there. Now listen, speaking of personnels and ingoings and outgoings, some could attribute Red Bull's downfall or stagnation rather in terms of performance. It's a stagnation of performance. The other teams have actually developed beyond them to the fact that there have been significant outgoings. Everybody knows about the whole Adrian Newey outgoing because Adrian Newey is actually very popular, famous, for whatever reasons. For his respective reasons. But there's also another guy, Jonathan Wheatley, who's leaving for, I don't know if it's Jonathan, but John Wheatley.
Yeah, Jonathan
who's leaving for Audi.
Yep.
And could you please shed some light on his role at Red Bull and where he is going and what he's going to do wherever he's going?
Disclaimer, I'm going to talk about AD21 here.
Trigger warning.
If you want to leave,
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Just muted. But yeah, okay. So we have the technical regulations and we have the sporting regulations. Okay. So the technical regulations talk about the limits of the car. By limits, I mean this is the amount of fuel, this is the weight. If you're front wing, it has to flex this much. Mnajijua. The tires are going to be this size, etc., etc. The sporting regulation now talks about the sporting aspect of it, penalties, points, etc., etc. So Jonathan Wheatley was a sporting director at Oracle Red Bull Racing. So he was the guy who was in charge of if, let's say, someone jumps on the radio. Like, yo, he pushed me off the track, or someone is being investigated for an offense. It was the guy who was like radioing to the stewards. Like, yo, Lebu, let's talk about this. Don't give my guy 5 seconds, whatever. Let's talk to him. He's going to give that place.
He was Red Bull's attorney, basically.
Yes,
Track attorney.
we can put it that way. Yeah. So AD21, I think he came into the limelight. Because him and Horner apparently were talking to Mercy, telling him, hey,
they were the ones dealing with Mercy behind the scenes.
we want racing.
We want racing. Okay.
Yeah, suck a thumb and sit down. But anyway, that's racing at the end of the day. So, so he was the guy who was ensuring that Checo, Max, one were not getting penalties if there were infringements, if I can put it that way. And also ensuring that anything that Red Bull was doing, they were doing it according to the sporting regulations. Yeah.
They were playing ball, basically.
Yeah. So he's been the sporting director for quite some time. And just like any other ambitious man, you always want growth in whatever you're pursuing. So,
in your relevant field.
Yeah. So I believe when this opening came up at Audi, Binot, of course, jumped. He became the TP there. So he became the CEO. And I think Jonathan Wheatley maybe wanted a different role. And there are rumors that actually say if Christian Horner was to be kicked out of Red Bull, then Jonathan Wheatley would become the
new team principal.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Wheatley has been eyeing the top seat, and he's finally getting it at Audi.
Yes. Well, he hasn't explicitly said that I have been looking for a top seat, but his actions
suggest
that or prove that he's given an opportunity, he's willing to step up.
But this talent drain also happened in Mercedes. You remember?
Yeah.
And then they fell off.
Now, the talent drain the Mercedes, the talent has been going to Aston Martin and Williams. It has been
It started going to Red Bull, if you
Really?
remember.
I think there's also a guy who went to Ferrari. The chassis guy.
Because
after 2021.
the musical
No,
chairs of
sorry.
these talent guys, because I think the Ferrari ones have been going to McLaren. The Mercedes ones have been going to Aston and Williams. The Red Bull ones are now showing clearly they're going to...
No,
No,
Red
Bull
Red Bull has one guy, Dan Fallows in
wait.
Aston, Rob Marshall in.
Red
Yeah,
Bull
the
started
Red Bull
by
has been
poaching guys
contributing
from
to everybody.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
Red Bull has been contributing to everybody because we have somebody at Williams. We have somebody at Aston Martin, Dan Fallows, like you've mentioned.
Yeah.
We have somebody
Rob
now
Marshall
at Audi.
McLaren and also Audi. Yeah.
Yeah, and we expect another guy at Aston Martin in Adrian Newey.
Adrian Newey, yeah.
And who else? Yeah.
I think that's it. Hey, Hannah, please. Christian, add some money for that lady. We don't want our head strategists to move. But yeah, could this be a symptom of maybe the cost cap and teams?
Now that the
Teams
teams are
not-
more balanced.
Not really balanced, but they are not paying, or they are not in this position to actually pay the employees higher wages to keep them.
Salaries are part of the cost cap, yeah?
Yes.
Damn.
You know what?
That's
But
a
you see, the thing that I take heart is that I was with Red Bull when Mercedes was dominating. There was a time I was cheering for a podium. Like when you got a podium, I was so happy.
Sweet.
And I think me going back to that, Nini, it's not so bad.
Hey, bruh, it's really bad.
I mean,
I'm ready
you
to
know-
embrace it, but still at the same time is I'm like, you see, for Red Bull, the reason why I'm going to still stick with them is that, as I said, during this time is what it will defines you.
Yeah.
And they have been there and they got out.
Yeah.
And they will do it again.
you know, guys say tough times never last, but in your case, good times never last because you guys have been dominating for what, 2 years? And
Max has 3 championships.
let me put it like this. Arguably, there are some people who say otherwise. But anyway, I put it like this. I'm not really asked about you guys falling off because I'm not really asked about you guys falling off because when I got into the sport, when I started watching the sport, you guys were dominating.
That was Seb's time.
Yeah. You guys were dominating. So I got into the sport during a time when Red Bull were dominating. Then we came to
Mercedes were
that
given the cheat
tiring.
code.
We came to that tiring 8-year reign from Mercedes
Mercedes,
because
yeah.
it was really tiring. I tell you, it was tiring. I like Formula One was a Mercedes sport, and I was ready for anybody to overthrow them because Ferrari was just trying but falling short. Ferrari were the only guys who could challenge them.
Got cheating.
Okay, Ferrari were the only guys who could challenge them. Now, when that happened and Red Bull came into the fold, because I've been vocal about this. AD21, the final race, I was actually rooting for Verstappen.
Say it with your chest, man.
Yeah, I was
We're
rooting for
going to
Verstappen.
protect you, man.
Because I was also protecting Ferrari's interests. You know,
The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
your enemy is your friend. So I was actually rooting for Ferrari's interests. But you know, now things are a bit different because now we have to be accommodative of our next star driver. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think you guys are now where you deserve to be.
What?
Yeah.
Deserve?
Deserve, yeah. You deserve to
That's
be
a bit
around
harsh,
there.
don't you think?
I don't think you guys deserve to be dominating the way you're dominating last year, winning 20 races. I think you guys are at... I don't see Red Bull. I don't view Red Bull as a team that wins constructors championships consistently. That's not how I view guys. I'm being stereotypical here. I'm being stereotypical and I'm sorry about it. But I'm just being honest.
Be honest, why are you sorry?
You know, some guys... Anyway, my point being, please cut this out. Do not include it in the
No, just
final
say
edit.
it. Say it with your chest.
Now, the point being, because Red Bull, they're not your conventional car manufacturer. You've never gone out on the road and seen a car called Red Bull.
What are you talking about?
I know you want to bring in that car RB17 thing, but
Bro.
But you see, for
that's-
that reason, you see,
Before that, we've partnered with Aston Martin.
I know, but I'm saying now, this is why I'm saying this is my own opinion here.
Don't do that to us, man.
I'm being
Don't do that
okay.
to
I'm being
them.
stereotypical, but
I get it, and my point. That's why I support Red Bull is
Yeah.
because this is a team that doesn't make cars
yeah.
and is coming
They're
and
kicking
win.
us.
Yes,
Yeah. And I view you guys like guys who should actually tell guys to wake up. You know, when you're caught sleeping, you guys are the ones who are actually taking the bites and things like that. Like if you were in the jungle, I'll view you guys as hyenas. No disrespect, but in a
Nah, that's
sense,
disrespect. Man. When someone says no disrespect, that's disrespect.
Exactly. I don't know
Being
why.
dished.
no.
Just
I'm-
because
no.
Red Bull doesn't make what are you like road going cars
Come
that you
on,
can
hey.
buy, you think they don't deserve?
I'm not saying they don't deserve. I don't view
That's
them
what you're
as
saying. You say you are where we are supposed to be.
Yeah, P2, P3 is okay with you guys. I mean, come on.
I can't wait for us to get back on.
You're gonna get back. And like during all that time, like Ferrari has been like almost going at the top, but never at the top.
Now, well,
They like kunusa too, like nusering and then
I'm actually okay with McLaren winning the championship instead of you guys. I'm actually okay with a McLaren domination.
What?
Instead of a Red Bull domination. If McLaren were dominating these past few years the way you guys dominated, I would actually be like, McLaren.
Right, because they have
Yeah.
road cars.
And because they also have a history of actually winning from the past, the 88s, the 90s,
But
early 90s,
But you're the same guy who said before that
99s.
your OG as
Nemesis.
in Nemesis is McLaren.
Yeah.
So now you're happy seeing them.
No, I'm saying for me that looks normal.
Hey, that's hate. Jesus.
Damn, you shouldn't voice your opinions in public. You guys will now be cancelling me. Anyway,
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
anyway, stay tuned. Keep it Pitboard. On to the next one.